work, Nick? For the time being?
And if we want to make comments swiftly, we can have a roving mic, can't we?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And let's try to extemporize around it as well.
Yeah.
A bit. So,
Maybe we'll have to switch them on. Sir. No, no. Oh, it's okay.
red one.
Yeah.
Testing. Okay.
Yes.
That's definitely on. Shall I sing? No. No, thank you. Yeah, I'm going to try and riff it.
He's going.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Can I have the attention, please? So, because we had, finished the opening little early, we had quite an extended break, and that's why we are starting little early. So, past 5 minutes early. So, I think that's okay, right? Okay, great. Now, well, this is a session where we are going to talk about the Inclusive Education Toolkit, the extensions that have been made with, of course, the help from all of you during the previous workshops that we had, and try to understand that, well, how this particular education toolkit can be, again, contributing to your everyday practice in the academia, right? So just as a refresher, what we are going to do here, we are going to iterate some of the things which are present in the Inclusive Education Toolkit. And I would invite, because, well, this is just, again, a refresher for you all. So with your mobile device, if you have a laptop, please do, sign up again if you haven't signed up before. And then visit the Inclusive Education Toolkit so that when we are showing some of the elements or some of the features of the Inclusive Education Toolkit on the screen, you people can, navigate it with us. And if you have any difficulty or if you have any questions, we can address those questions when we are here, okay? And we will try to facilitate, your understanding of the toolkit and how you can possibly better use it for developing the materials that you would like to do for your everyday teaching practice. Okay? So here is the QR code. So if you can scan it, so this is something which is going to take you to accessible.academy. Now, many of you already have accounts created there. So if you already have an account, please do sign into your account. If you do not have an account, I invite you to create an account at the Inclusive Academy, and that is something which will give you access to the platform. Now, as David had been reiterating many times in the morning session, that this all is open access, okay? Open source, so you can actually use it for free, okay? So all the materials that is being posted in Accessible Academy, the only requirement is that you will have to sign up, to have access to those materials. So if you are working from a laptop, you can just type https, /accessible.academy, and this is something which will take you to the Accessible Academy homepage. And once you are in the homepage, if you have not already registered, please sign up. Or if you already have an account, log in with the credentials that you have. If you have, signed up before, but do not remember your credentials, you can also reset your credentials as needed.
So this is the QR code for you to sign up. It takes you to accessible.academy. This is an account that's logged in already. If I go to another tab here, this account isn't logged in. So when I go to not the Amity one, sorry. When I go to the TNE one on here. So this is the TNE workshop on building equity. That's what we're doing today. When I visit this one, because this account isn't logged in, it's asking me to enroll. Guests cannot enroll, so I need to log in. So when I choose continue, it will take me to the login sign, and you can then put your details in, and or either log in or create an account from there. So most of the materials can be accessed without logging into the account. The session courses like today, that does require a login, just so that we can keep track of who's actually been part of this session, and so that we can continue to keep you informed of changes as we make them. So if you have an account, we can email you with this information.
So we are looking to build a community for Accessible Academy across. It's not just in Bangladesh. We have many universities in India, and now we're working with universities and mainstream education in Vietnam too. So it's about spreading the word and adding more units from different projects too. And anytime there's a new piece of software, a piece of educational technology, or a new unit, we'll message you only on those occasions to advertise the fact there's a new tool or a new set of guidance that can improve your practice. We also, once you're part of the community, if you have a project on assistive technology, I'm being blinded by that. If you have a project on assistive technology or an AI educational tool or a piece of guidance which is specific to Bangladesh, we invite you to develop a unit and send it to us. And because this is free and open source, it's developed and contributed by the community to spread the word.
So this is the landing page. Here we have the two workshops, Amity Jaipur, which we did last week. So that's still open. I'm going to hide that soon because it's not going to be relevant in the future. And the TNE workshop on building equality, which is the workshop we're doing. On this front page as well, is accessibility for staff courses. So there's one for teaching staff and one for administrators. Also on accessibility, there are student personas with accessibility needs. So here we have 6 personas of students who represent people with particular problems accessing materials.
Do you want to go through some of the personae, Nick? Has anybody worked with personas before? And we use it a lot in human-computer interaction. Personas aren't really archetypes. They represent real students, and they help, but they have all the characteristics. Say if you're a person with a hearing impairment, they have their characteristics, their needs and capabilities. And what the personae do is help you navigate very easily the parts of the toolkit to the resources, the assistive technology tools, captioning, that can help you develop and design learning materials specifically for that student. So you can do it 2 ways. You can follow the guidelines on Universal Design for Learning to design for all students, or if you have a specific student in your class that you'd like to support, it shows you specifically the resources, the guidelines, the posters that can help you support that student as well. It's just a way to navigate the toolkit. At the moment, we have started to develop some personas for students in Bangladesh. These were all developed with colleagues at the University of Edinburgh, the kind of students they saw and the challenges they met. I'm very keen for this community to develop a set of personae for students in Bangladesh. We did start with a couple, Aisha, who lived in a rural community, limited internet access, had to share a mobile device, internet connectivity could be unstable during monsoon season. So just about the affordances you can use when you're designing materials for that student.
So maybe we have a look at one of these personae to start off
I
with.
think it would be useful to have a look at one of the personas and the way that we use these representations, the kind of students we see, to navigate the toolkit. Would you like to do that?
So just to make sure that everybody is on this landing page, right? So can you see this page? So this is something we just would like to make sure that while you have now created an account, everybody created an account? Yeah? Good. So are we in this landing page, in the home page? So if you're on the home page, at the bottom of the home page, so without going anywhere at all, at the bottom of the home page, we actually have the different personae as David just explained. So as they are representing real situations of learners, yeah? So for example, visually impaired, wheelchair user, hearing impaired, dyslexic, depression, autistic, okay? And also someone who is, at the rural areas and then having difficulty, for example, the persona that David was mentioning, Aisha, okay? So these are the ones which represent the situation of a specific student or a specific learner, right? So now, how do we represent this information, okay? So for understanding that representation, now we can open one of these personae and try to see that, for example, what are the specific things and then how can we actually build this personae. So for example, you want to go with Kiran?
Let's
Nick?
go with Kieran then,
Yeah.
yes.
So Kiran is someone who is dyslexic. Now, are we familiar with dyslexia? Do you know what dyslexia is? David, want to go with dyslexia?
So students with dyslexia have specific difficulties with memory and speed of processing of especially textual-based information. They find the fast pace of lectures sometimes they can get in technical subjects hard to grasp and difficulties in maintaining concentration. Many of us might have some of those characteristics. They have a limited ability to take down notes in a fast way. So they might have slow hand reading, impedes their ability to take effective notes and lectures. But, so they're some of the challenges, but some of their strengths are they're great at creating very creative and novel solutions. With all the students we work with, students with autism or dyslexia, there are challenges, but there are trade-offs, payoffs. They have particular strengths. We have many students in my university in computer science who have autism, and their attention to detail and their ability to program is very high. So we need to invest in affordances to develop teaching practices and materials so that we reap the benefits of these types of students in the future. Does anybody work with a company, Fujitsu? So a big Japanese company with technical company with lots of offices in Europe as well. They have a special program to help students with autism because they know that the technological payback of those people when they come to work in the company is worth the investment to begin with. So we're going just back to Kieran with dyslexia. Ed Kieran's challenges and abilities.
Now, as David was mentioning, so, dyslexia is something which, where the students or the learners will have difficulty in, for example, reading, identifying similar, characters, the letters. So they probably would have difficulty in, reading, in deciphering multiple instructions at once. They will have difficulty in processing fast-paced information. So sometimes people talk very fast, okay? As lecturers, you know that we probably have lots of slides to cover, right? So what we do, we think that everybody is able to, catch up with whatever we are trying to deliver. But there are many students who probably, on the way they will be lost, after a certain time, we'll lose them because, the dyslexic students also have difficulty in concentrating, for example, keeping their concentration for sufficient longer amount of time, okay? So they are, unable to process this information and probably take notes. So how can we then actually, do materials, okay? Create materials that potentially will be able to support these students, bring those students on board. So that, whenever you are preparing your materials, whenever you are trying to, deliver in front of students with dyslexia, what are the do's and the don'ts? How do you design keeping those kind of difficulties in mind? Yeah? So here we have a poster, okay?
So having a look at some of the do's and don'ts for somebody with dyslexia, and these are generally, this is generally advice which works for all users. It makes materials more understandable for everyone. So although it is for dyslexia, these apply generally as well, and it's good practice to follow these instructions. So, for example, do use images and diagrams to support the text.
Can I just add one thing to what just Nick said? Well, any accessibility related materials, okay, whatever the do's and don'ts, we think that, this is only dedicated for students with that particular condition, okay? But in reality, it actually helps everybody. For example, just some time ago, you see that the font size were small. Increasing the font size, were we not all benefited? Is it not easier for us to see? Now, this is, for example, one of the things, which helps us all. So, any material, that has been designed keeping specific condition in mind, while following these guidelines, that is something which is going to actually help everybody. For example, one of the things it says that use images and diagrams to support the text. Now, you see, just consider that one slide with only text. Regardless of whether someone has any specific condition or not, we'll probably not be able to, focus and read everything. But instead, if there is an image, and that image is actually a representation of what is actually described in the text, and then the teacher can potentially describe that image at the pace of the learner sitting in front. So that is something which is going to be much more beneficial than having that. So that is something which is not only helping the student with dyslexia, but it is something which will help all the learners sitting in front of a teacher. So that is what one of the most important things that accessibility related materials are not only facilitating the people who has the learning needs, but it actually helps everybody. Okay, so this is something which is very important. Sorry, Nick. Yeah, go ahead, please.
So just to run through the other do's, align text to the left and keep a consistent layout. So that's, again, it's a sensible approach to make things understandable for everyone. Consider producing materials in other formats, for example, audio or video. Having multiple formats of the material that you're giving provides another way of accessing it and gives people additional ways to understand it.
So as Mufti said before, if you have dyslexia and there's an alternative audio or video track, then if you have problems with large, complex pieces of text, you have the audio to explain it to you. But this is also good for students with a visual impairment. So visual impairment, if you can't read the text, you can hear the text too. Especially there might be a caption for video, and you can use a screen reader, and we have many free screen readers available to you that we can use and recommend. So the captioning would be able to read out the video also to somebody with a visual impairment too. All of these principles are embedded in Universal Design for Learning. These are just some posters which just give you nice visual representations for supporting specific students. Before we go on as well, these are all open source. You can print them out. You can have them on your laptop, print them out as well, produced by the British Home Office for everyone to use, not just in education, but in government too, or in any other industry you're working on. Sorry, Nick.
So we have some do's. The don'ts are equally relevant. Don't use large blocks of heavy text. Don't underline words, use italics or writing capitals. I mean, occasionally for emphasis, it would be okay, but big screeds of all caps text is not on for anyone really. Don't force users to remember things from previous pages. Give reminders and prompts. Don't rely on accurate spelling. Use autocorrect or provide suggestions. They're common sense kind of things, but they're things that if you adopt and if you follow, make things accessible for everyone. Moving on, we've got a number of other items here for somebody with dyslexia. So understanding student barriers, assistive technologies for people with dyslexia, operating system built-in accessibility features, Microsoft accessibility features, Google accessibility features, appropriate support for students, and book readers. So those are all different themes of accessibility assistance that we can dive in and have a look. I don't think we'll go and have a look at all of them, but maybe choose one or two of them.
Because these are all expandable items as well.
So if we have a look at assistive technologies for people with dyslexia.
Now, you see that the whole point here is that these are already there, right? So rather than trying to reinvent the wheel, the goal is actually to provide you with sufficient information on what is available, what is out there, so that you know that these kind of things are existing. They are there. For example, what in the previous one there were specific, headers that what accessibility operations are provided by the operating systems, what have Microsoft done, what has the Google has done, and all these specific service providers, tech companies who are developing the operating systems and other tools that we use on our teaching and daily activities, they all have certain features to facilitate accessibility. Now, what is important for us is actually to know that where can you find those features and what are the specific features that are available that you can already make use to actually develop your materials, okay? And of course, these assistive technologies. Now, David was mentioning about the screen reader, for people with visual impairment or dyslexic people, they cannot read a lot of text at once. But there will be situations when people will be expected to read, isn't it? So there are specific ways, using the assistive technologies, you can actually read text, and then, the text will be read out loud, and you can just hear that, this is what is being written. Therefore, these assistive technologies, which are, for example, a screen reader, already available, okay? Now, what has, one of the main focus of this toolkit is try to collect all those information, collect them and place them in one place so that whenever you want to use some of these, you know that where to go, where to look for those information. There are software which is freely downloadable, freely usable, okay, so with certain license, like Creative Commons, that you can really use them for your daily practice, right?
Now here, we have hit a slight accessibility problem on the site. I've been using this accessibility tool here to make the text larger and smaller. But this item here is an H5P, which is a piece of HTML packed up and embedded in the site. And that doesn't respond to the accessibility tools that we have installed on the site. It's a problem that we are addressing, so what we will need to do is translate this from H5P to standard HTML. This is something that we only discovered when we migrated from the Diverse Asia site, where some of these resources came from, to our new site. So this isn't as accessible as it could be, and we're all trying to improve as we go on. The items on here, so specifically for dyslexia, mind mapping software. Using mind mapping software to help students plan projects visually, and understand their ideas. And the second item on here is reading and writing tools, such as Read, Write Gold or Kurzweil 3000, both of which have facilities that can help students digest written text and compose accurately with the appropriate spelling and grammar support. There are lots of these different tools in different parts of this site. So if I go back to our main page.
Now, before we get onto some of those stuff, so do you have any questions at this stage? Any questions at all?
Can I ask a question? Have you, first of all, encountered any students, say, with dyslexia in higher education or tertiary education yet? Do you think these are people that you have dyslexic students, but they haven't been declared or statemented? Or they just don't make it yet, as Sir was saying, the chairman, they haven't made it yet into higher education? I know for the University Grants Commission, it is their policy now for equity and inclusion aligned with SDG 4, inclusive and quality education for all. But you haven't, first of all, met any of these students. Are you aware of any of these free and open source tools? Was your perception that in order to get these tools, you might have to have institutional approval or institutional resource funding? You do need, so you need the approval to download them, but did you realize that you don't really need funding to get them? Yes to both questions, yeah. Which came from the surveys in the past. People were saying we need institutional support, we need resource funding, and you need the knowledge of where these tools are. Okay. Thank you, Nick.
So we'll maybe have a look at another area of the tools, the guidelines for staff and administrators. So I'm going to go to the administrators one, because that's one that we don't see an awful lot, or don't consider an awful lot. So this is about making sure that the facilities and the infrastructure and the support provided by the organisation or by the institution itself is there. And this provides a whole load of different tools to assist you in checking your environment, checking the way that you may move around, signage, the way you go in and out of places, horizontal and vertical circulation. I'm not sure what that one is. Let's have a look. So all of these are things that you can do to make affordances in the infrastructure of the buildings and the environment around you. There's an inclusion resident readiness assessment and reflection tool. So this is looking at the policies and practices which your institution runs. So again, it's not just your practice, it's the whole institution's practice. It's how do you deal with and treat students with a disability on an equitable footing with everyone else. I don't know, is there any, do we want to go and have a look at one of these in depth? If we have a look at this is a big one.
I quite like the audit of the facilities. What is the progress you think, making your campuses fully accessible? Does it range from some work, like say signage and ramps, or to making hostels, classrooms, bathroom facilities fully accessible to all? Can you talk about your practice in your universities?
Practice is based on the initial stage. I mean, the signage are there, but
Please do.
thank you so much. The practice that we have in IUBAT is only based on the signage facilities for the disabilities. Yeah. But rather than the facilities having some of the corners of the university, practically it doesn't visible right now. And I think most of the universities are having the similar kind of conditions right now. So it's up to the signage.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Actually, brother saying the true. Maximum University has the only sign symbol is available, but no more than. But we are trying to establish this one, inshallah, in later.
Okay. Anybody else like to comment on the current accessibility? Because if we're going to welcome students with a range of sensory, physical, cognitive impairments, or teach at a distance, you are going to make changes to the physical infrastructure of your university. So it sounds like progress is starting, but there's still work to go on. Any further comments? Like to comment on your university practice, or how likely you think these changes would make, or what is the roadmap for these changes? Anybody want to comment or not? It's fine if you don't want to comment. Okay, thanks, Nick. We do have an audit tool in the toolbox. You can download it, and you can simply audit where you currently are. What you do with that information, whether you talk to university leadership, is another thing. It's now UK law, not just universities, but all public buildings have to be fully accessible. And I think that's the difference when it becomes law, and it's the Inclusion Act, Disability Act of 2010. It now becomes law for all public offices and universities to be fully accessible.
And of course, here we do have some of the potential vice chancellors of universities.
Yes,
okay,
we do.
Yeah.
We do.
So the future vice chancellors of the universities are sitting here.
Yeah.
Okay. So having this knowledge, the awareness. That, well, these are the things how the campuses should look like. The changes will have to begin by informing yourselves first that, well, what are the limitations, where the changes can be made. And that is what, this toolkit can provide you with those information, that what are the things that need doing to make a campus accessible. For example, AIUB, Vice Chancellor in the opening, they did mention that AIUB is something
Fully
which
accessible.
is fully accessible. And that is, which is a great,
it's a model of best practice. Yeah.
Absolutely. So that is something which first, someone will have to really acknowledge that, where are the limitations, understand where improvements can be made, and accordingly those improvements will have to be, carried out to make the facilities more accessible for all the students.
So I've just followed the link to the checklist here. So this is an EU site, inclusivehe.eu. So this has taken us to a different site, an external site. So we're not just offering resources on the site. Where something's useful, we'll point you at the appropriate item off-site. So this is looking at the accessibility readiness of your institution and allows you to run through a checklist and do an audit of accessibility and then report that to your management or whatever. We won't carry on and do this. I'm just thought I'll follow this to show you that there are useful links off the site as well, not just to tools, but also other resources that are helpful for improving accessibility and general.
There as well, that a lot of the work European projects I've been involved with, starting with Framework 7, then Horizon 2020, Horizon Europe, are very large funded projects it can be around 8 to 10 million euros, 30 partners. So there's been a huge amount of work in accessibility, digital accessibility, physical accessibility. It's part of the European Commission's approach that all of this should be open source and usable. And now, with the British Council, we're extending that practice to Bangladesh, so we're not reinventing the wheel. Where there's great practice in terms of guidelines or tools, we simply link to those sites. We're signposting where that best practice is. And you can immediately use it. It might need tuned to the Bangladesh context, but it's all free and there as a result of these 3 or 4 year projects which have received a lot of funding. So we're just trying to signpost that best practice to you now to make sure you know about the breadth and depth of the resources and tools which are available for you to use.
So there are a number of other
Little comments. Actually, our British Council project title is Generative AI for Good. Okay, and today we are actually talking about building equity, accessing extended inclusive education. So how these two topics are correlated? So I would like to.
So, great point from Professor Saiful Islam, as usual. We usually get great interaction with our friend here. So what we're doing to begin with is starting with the toolkit in general. Then we'll do an in-depth look at generative AI, and then an in-depth look at race and equality as well.
So
we're starting with the overview, and then we're going to dive deep into generative AI.
So I think we know what the personae are about. We've had a look at one of the personae. The other personae follow a similar track, and we are developing more personae to allow you to consider accessibility issues from that angle. We also, I don't want to miss this one out because this is the big one. We have the teaching staff one. So this takes us to quite a long list of content. Ooh, go away. For teaching staff. And there are a huge number of different things in here which you can look at. I will just pick this one because this is one of David's favourites. It's Sculpt. So David, take it away.
Sculpt is a resource produced by not an educational institution in the UK, a council. They have to provide services to the local community in terms of everything a county council would offer in terms of advertising all their services. This is a really nice acronym for Universal Design for Learning. If you're producing learning materials, if you follow this guideline, it will make sure your learning materials adhere to Universal Design for Learning, and you can easily follow the guidelines to produce accessible course content with alternative, multiple ways of representation and assessment so that all students can access digital training materials. You can have them on Moodle platform, on Google Classroom, but it will improve the amount of students you can support. So it's got lots of guidelines on structuring your document, on using color contrast between text and background colors, especially important for people with visual impairments or color blindness. Alternative use of text on images. If you have a visual impairment, but there is an alternative text box, how many people have used that so far on PowerPoint, which allows you to automatically put that in, alternative text for a diagram? Who has used that on PowerPoint? No? It's there in PowerPoint. Very simple. If you have a diagram, there's a very easy way to put an alternative text box in. Then if you're using a screen reader, it reads out the meaning of the image. A quick win. The use of hyperlinks, descriptive hyperlinks. If you're reading using a screen reader and it says click here, the user has no idea where they're going to. But if it's a descriptive link, it makes it clear via the screen reader. The use, well, we're saying English here because it's an English resource, but the use of clear, uncomplicated language in Bangla with no jargon for students who are perhaps non-native speakers or dyslexia, and table structure about how you organize tables to be read by a screen reader. Now, just go up, please, through the document, Nick. No, it's further that way. So, okay, on Sculpt, it's about 9 pages. If you do anything else, go onto the site, download Sculpt. It will give you very clear guidelines on designing for all. When we did the survey, we had might really have a problem with this. It might think that people with disabilities are getting an unfair advantage to compete in Bangladesh for limited resources. This allows you to design all your training materials, your digital learning materials on your learning platforms to be accessible by all just by following structure, color, use of images, links. And it's a really free open source. It embeds all the theory of universal design for learning in a handy document.
So here we have a number of other themes, accessibility do's and don'ts, operating systems built-in accessibility tools, inclusive teaching practices, universal design for learning. So that then takes you into a more in-depth view of your learning and teaching practice and how you design your materials and design your lessons to include as wide a range of learners as possible. But we're not here just to do accessibility. So I'm going to go back now. So here we're on the landing page again. We've had a quick look at the teaching staff, we've had a quick look at the administrators, we've had a look at what the personae are about. That's what's there for basic accessibility. So now we're going to move on, I think. Yes, David, do you want to move on to the AI?
Sure. So, we're
I am looking for, this is the thing. Now, generative AI.
okay. So Professor Saiful Islam wants to move on to generative AI. He's very excited about that. So, are there any questions about the resource kit? I want to emphasize the resource kit is huge. It's not just about guidelines. We have a database that was developed in a European project called ATLEC and the Eastern Database. Everything there is open source. Screen readers, projects, assistive technology. if you want to pay for assistive technology, fill your boots. But just start with seeing what already is there freely available that you can download. We can't take it through you all today. So before lunch, are there any more questions just about the toolkit itself? Before we move on to generative AI. All right then. Let's start with generative AI. I don't know why I'm going on and off.
Maybe David could swap his microphone with Mufti's. And so this is the Generative AI for Students course. I've zoomed in so that you should be able to see it even on the projectors. So here we have an overview, Generative AI Overview Parts 1 and 2. Then we have some do's and don'ts of generative AI. We have a quick quiz. We have ethical considerations of it, plagiarism, privacy in data, environmental concerns, academic integrity, and getting the best out of AI, study prompts, creating effective prompts, ways to refine and iterate Gen AI searches, quiz on that, referencing Gen AI content, limitations of Gen AI, AI use with old hardware, low bandwidth, Gen AI and professional development. So it is a comprehensive course in itself. Again, we can't go through the whole lot of it. So I think we'll go up to the top and just have a quick look at the first couple to see what they're about.
But just to be warned that when you go through each section, we're going to do the quiz to see what you've learned.
So having a look at this, what is generative artificial intelligence? And it gives us a summary of what it's about. It looks at Copilot, Adobe AI, and some other AI tools.
Just before we start on Copilot, do you have restrictions in your own universities about which Gen AI tools your students can use, first of all?
No restriction at all, right? Right now, no restriction of use generative AI. Even most of the students, though they use it, especially assignment, submission, and other tasks, but formal, no, there is no do or don'ts in our university. This is the.
Anybody else? Any restrictions? So, what is the most common Gen AI tool your students use? ChatGPT. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Gemini. I want to get a survey of the tools you use.
Gemini, then we have another one, Cloud AI is getting popular. Yeah, in terms of coding and other things. Cloud,
okay.
Cloud, yeah.
Okay, at our university, there's only one authorized tool which is based into all the browsers.
At Nottingham Trent.
At Nottingham Trent University, which is Copilot. The university did a study and it found Copilot to be the most accurate and give the best guarantees about protection of intellectual property for our students and its use and training. So our students and staff are only authorized to use Copilot built into the university systems for the production of learning materials and in research at NTU. But many universities are following suit.
Actually, logic behind only allow students to use Copilot, not others. What is the logic? Yeah.
So, Professor Saifullah Islam, you're saying what is the logic of allowing them to use Gen AI in the first place? Only Copilot. Copilot. The university did a study and said it would be the most, in terms of its training, its transparency of what it does with your queries, giving guarantees about using your queries and how they're visible to other people. The accuracy, it's kind of hallucinations, or it's what else, Nick, would it be?
Well, Nottingham Trent University is largely a Microsoft shop. And so using Copilot, we use a corporate version of Copilot. So that ensures that data security is maintained, data doesn't migrate out or get used in further training of the system. So there are also corporate integrity issues which have to be taken into, or have been taken into account. And so that's the choice that the university made, is we go with this because we can control it, we can prevent it from leaking, we can allow it to be used for corporate documents, so people can upload, I wouldn't say very sensitive documents, but reasonably sensitive documents. They can use the corporate Copilot, and it will keep the information within NTU's parameter, within NTU's bounds. So I think that's a very important thing about using AI generally. If you just use any old AI, then your queries you've given away anything you put into it.
Yeah. Researchers, I know, perhaps not on campus, would use Perplexity. But in university, also out to use Copilot. Well, that's number one.
So we had a look at the tools.
So, second question. Okay.
I am Dr. Rubaya. My question is, at your university, you are allowed to use Copilot, the paid one. So what is the policy about using Copilot in the MSc and PhD thesis, the thesis work? I mean, there should be a policy. We can follow that.
It's the same policy. So the policy is for staff and students. So the students can use Copilot and the...
Yes, but I think this also comes on to this generative AI part 2, where you're talking about responsibilities of staff and students.
Yeah. So we'll look at that next, but it's a great point. Yeah.
So
please keep asking questions. We don't want this to be just delivery where you're going to be very bored. We wanted to say, this is what we're doing at NTU. We've tuned it to Bangladesh, but if you have any further comments or you have any further questions about why we've taken this particular approach at Nottingham Trent, please stop us and let's have a conversation. Yeah?
So for students, we ask that they understand and adhere to the university guidelines for AI usage. So there is a document produced that details what it can and can't be used for. They're asked to seek support and clarification when unsure about the ethical use of the tool in their coursework, and overall, maintain originality and ensure academic work reflects independent understanding, analysis, and creativity. So we understand that students are going to use AI in their work, and what we want to do is ensure they use it appropriately. We'll maybe dig a little deeper into that. From the educator's point of view, provide clear expectations on the AI use in academic settings. How can you use it? What's expected? What's not expected? What shouldn't be done? Educate students on ethical implications and academic integrity when using AI, and monitor and address improper AI usage in assessments. So that's maybe the real gnarly one, isn't it? That's the one everyone's interested in. So I'll read through this because this is probably quite important. Legitimate use as part of your studies. So higher education is about developing your own subject knowledge, critical thinking, communication, reasoning, creativity. So your assessments are an opportunity for you to learn more about your subject area, demonstrate your understanding, and meet learning outcomes of your modules. It is through the process of reading, thinking, and writing about your subject that most of your learning takes place. If you outsource significant parts of that process to a Gen AI tool, you will be missing out on valuable learning opportunities and not developing the basic subject knowledge that employers will be expecting. And that's the nub of what AI is what we are at risk of allowing students to do if they rest too heavily on AI. So then there's this list of legitimate ways in which Gen AI tools can support learning, and these include conversing with AI about a topic to deepen understanding, creating mock exam questions on a topic, helping with revision, suggesting alternative ways to structure your assignment, kickstarting idea generating for images or graphics, experimenting with different writing styles, kickstarting research as a basis for further reading, and identifying basic grammar errors. So those are legitimate ways that you can use it. If I go back and we'll have a look at the do's and don'ts, that will give us a bit more of an understanding of what we recommend we should and shouldn't do. So I'm going to go to the don'ts of Gen AI now. So this is saying, don't submit AI-generated content as your own work. It may constitute academic misconduct. And there's got to be a sanction for this. If a student is identified as having actually submitted AI work as their own work, then they're sanctioned. It's academic misconduct.
So what happens in Bangladesh if your students submit AI-generated work? What are the sanctions? Do they fail a module? Is that currently happening? Reduce the mark.
In some cases, we did if in their course or reduce the mark, or we have some assessment process like quiz, exam, if viva, and if they got cheated in AI with a quiz, we give 0 on that, or sometimes we give F on that course also. So that's our process or policy.
Yeah.
And using AI is like developing country like Bangladesh is like it's a crime for us and also the student. And we should adopt the AI as our course helper, not like creating the assignment answer. So we should focus on that. We had talk with the student like that, and we do that also.
Okay. So there are already similar sanctions for unauthorized use, Nick, yes.
Yes, and that's the big one, isn't it? That's what we're all worried about. And the other ones are I'll go through them briefly. Don't share personal, sensitive, or copyrighted data with AI tools. So that's a sensible one, but people do. Don't upload original content of your own unless you're comfortable with how Gen AI may use the content in future. Don't rely solely on AI for academic research, writing, or assessments. Don't trust AI-generated citations without verifying authenticity. It can very easily hallucinate citations. Don't use AI bots to attend online classes or meetings for you or take notes. Don't run software generated by AI code without fully understanding how it works. Don't rely solely on AI for assessments. AI tools can undermine your development of key academic skills and critical thinking and writing. 2 more. Don't trust AI-generated references. AI tools often fabricate citations and references. And don't bypass your university's rules. Unauthorized use of AI in assessments or coursework can lead to serious consequences. So we've got to put this sanction in and state that it's there to hammer home the fact that AI can be used for support, but it's not there. It shouldn't be used for doing the work for you.
It's not meant to replace critical thinking, and I think more heavy as well in terms of the UK, not just about reducing your mark to 0, but it can't academic plagiarism, which can be very serious in the UK.
So we'll have a look at the do's, and then we'll do the quiz. So, do follow guidance on appropriate use for academic assessments. Do follow guidance regarding how to reference and acknowledge appropriate use of Gen AI tools. I think that's an important thing, is acknowledging that we do use AI and stating how you've used it as part of your assessment. Do verify AI-generated facts, statistics, and data using reputable sources. Do read AI tool privacy policies and understand data usage implications. Do use AI to refine understanding, brainstorm ideas, structure study lessons. Do engage critically with AI outputs and acknowledge AI use transparently in academic work. Do use Gen AI to gain an insight and understanding into different perspectives and ideas. Do use Gen AI to break tasks down into more manageable chunks. Do assume that any data you contribute to Gen AI will be used as part of its training base. Do remember that you're at university to develop your subject knowledge and gain a wide range of academic skills. This cannot be achieved by outsourcing your activities to Gen AI. Do use AI to support your learning. AI can aid your understanding of complex topics. See study prompts section. Do develop your critical thinking, engage critically with AI outputs, and evaluate their reliability and appropriateness. And do use AI ethically. Apply AI as a tool for enhancing your skills rather than a substitute for your own work.
Before we go on to the quiz, do you think any of this guidance are guidance that you haven't seen before yourself in Bangladesh or considered? Do you think it's very same in both countries? Or do you think this is more extensive or more formalized or more useful? Or are we missing anything compared to your current practice in Bangladesh? Anybody want to comment? Do you have such specific guidelines in your university as yet, as these? No, not yet. Who did one?
Assalamu alaikum, sir. At AIUB, we are on the verge of finalizing the policy on AI. We have formed the AI Policy Oversight Committee, and the drafts are already final, and it will be presented very soon to the stakeholders. So we have covered all the clauses which actually supports the OECD principles, the UNESCO principles, and our PDPO. So we have aligned all our policies to those things. So I think within next month it will be communicated with the stakeholders.
So, Dr. Saifullah, do you think these guidelines are similar to think should very aligned? I'm holding in the wrong position. Okay. Okay, does anybody else have similar guidelines or no guidelines at all? Is it something you do as an individual teacher, or does your university have guidelines, like colleagues here? No? No answer so far? Okay. All right. Okay. Okay.
And every semester we are changing our decision. Every semester we are changing because at this moment we are observing that students are using mobile phone during the exam, and just when we are giving them a question paper, they just give a question paper to the ChatGPT and they get the answer. so we are collecting all the phones before the exam. Then we allow them.
Okay.
So
Sure.
semester-wise we are
Okay. So you have guidelines and you started, but sometimes they're not formalized as yet. Formalized as yet. Okay. And where they are formalized, I would still like to juxtapose both sets of guidelines to see if there's anything missing, working from your best practice too. All right, Nick.
Okay, so we'll go and do the quiz. Now, I don't know if people who have got the Accessible Academy on their phones or their devices might want to have a go on their devices as well. I'm going to go in here, and I've never done this quiz before. I don't know what to expect. We need to pass 4 out of 5 questions. So, question 1. A student uses GenAI to help structure an essay, generate example arguments, and clarify difficult concepts. They then independently rewrite all content, verify sources, and clearly explain their AI use in the appendix. Which principle from the guidance is most comprehensively demonstrated? A, reliance on AI as a co-author.
Anybody
B,
want to go for A?
B, efficiency-driven use of technology in higher education.
B.
C, using AI to replace complex cognitive work.
C.
D, ethical use that enhances learning while maintaining academic integrity.
D. Yeah, okay.
So, how many for A? Anyone for B? Anyone for C? C. D. How many for D? Yes, I think so too.
Okay. We hoped you were going for C.
So now we check, and we got that correct. Good. Next one. Which scenario would most clearly constitute a breach of guidance, even if no assessment rules explicitly mention AI? A, using AI to generate alternative viewpoints on a debated topic. B, uploading a draft dissertation chapter to a GenAI tool to improve clarity. C, asking AI to explain unfamiliar academic terminology. D, using AI to summarize lecture notes already provided publicly. So which scenario is most clearly a breach of the guidance? Did I hear an A there? So, how many for A? Using AI to generate alternative viewpoints. How many for B? Uploading a draft dissertation chapter to GenAI. A few there.
Couple for B.
C, asking AI to explain unfamiliar academic terminology. Or D, using AI to summarize lecture notes already provided publicly. That's rather tougher than the first one, isn't it?
I really like that one because it's quite subtle. So the first one was quite obvious. This one was quite subtle, and I had to read it twice. Let's go back to how many think it might be B? That was the one I rounded on myself, but let's see, Nick.
We're choosing B then? Correct.
So it did take me several readings to that question as well, and to you we have a guideline which says, and it uses a traffic-like metaphor: green for absolutely fine, amber for not sure, and red absolutely not. And I still think that B might become in the amber region, but let's go on.
So why does the guidance emphasize that students should not rely on AI-generated citations and references? A, universities prohibit digital reference managers. B, AI prioritizes speed over academic formatting accuracy. C, AI tools intentionally plagiarize published work. Or D, AI systems frequently fabricate or misattribute sources.
Anybody want to shout out their answer? D, I think we're all going for D.
I think that
So
one's
again, that
quite
was a much
easy
more
again.
clear-cut, less subtle choice.
Good, we're doing well. 3 out of 5. So next, a student argues that using AI to complete most of an assessment is acceptable because the output is factually accurate. According to the guidance, what is the strongest counter-argument? A, AI tools are unreliable under exam conditions. B, assessment marking software can detect AI usage. C, AI outputs are often stylistically inconsistent. Or D, delegating assessment work to AI undermines skill development.
Shout out answers, please.
Anyone for A?
Anybody feeling confident?
Anyone for B? Anyone for C? Anyone for D? There's a few there, not many. I
Okay.
think it's D as well. Let's check. Correct. Few. So the last question. Which statement reflects the most nuanced understanding of data privacy risks associated with Gen AI use? Only personal data is stored by AI tools. University data is automatically protected within AI systems. AI tools delete all user inputs immediately after use. Data submitted to AI may become part of future training data sets. So, that's a bit more. I'm torn between two myself.
D, I was going to go for D. Which one were you confused between now?
Well, B's kind of what I understand NTU to be, but I think D is more obviously.
I didn't
accurate.
think university data was protected, and I thought that was the whole thing of Copilot. But let's go.
Well, I was assuming
Yeah?
using Copilot, but
Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah.
yes, it was D.
Okay.
So well done. We've got 5 out of 5 there.
So you're all experts in Gen AI already, but perhaps a lot. That's good. Yes, I learned a lot. The one I wasn't sure about was a question too, Nick.
Yes, that one.
That one. Yes, I thought that was in a fuzzy area, that one myself. Why couldn't you improve clarity and then reread the chapter and make sure it's correct, references, and rewrite the clarity? But yeah, that's a surprising one. Not surprising, but that was the one in a grey area for myself.
Right. So we've had a look at the students' course here. Do we want to go and have a look at any other elements? I mean, there's plagiarism and copyright. That's.
Do you want to carry on with this? Carry on with this one. So what time is lunch? 1 o'clock. And what time are we now? 20 minutes. Should we carry on with? I think we should carry on because this is all great content. Yeah? Yeah. Let's please go on with this one, Nick. Let's get this done.
Right. So do we want to have a look at the ethical considerations then?
Yeah, absolutely.
Plagiarism and copyright. So I'm not going to read all of this. NT uses a plagiarism tool called Turnitin.
Bangladesh, Turnitin, yes. So it's absolutely universal, Turnitin, yeah. Can Turnitin recognize generative AI content? Yeah.
So the other thing here is generative AI must be acknowledged. And as a rule of thumb, the minimum required to include acknowledgement is the name of the generative AI system, e.g. Copilot, the publisher, the company that made the AI, the URL of the AI system, and a brief description of the context in which the tool was used.
Okay, my question is, we will add all this or give data all this in a suppose, the name of the generative AI system used, publisher, URL, and brief description of the context, okay, tool used. So if we submit a journal paper stating all this, so how much content it will allow? It is 50% or 90% or 100%? Because in last, just 2 weeks ago, I received a paper for review. And what I utterly found, 100% AI generated by Turnitin. I checked, at first, at a glance, I found it very interesting. That means innovative or creative work. Later on, when I actually saw the diagrams, I became familiar. This diagram is actually, I generated some diagrams which are actually known to me. So I am doubtful. And I actually use, before assessing it, use Authenticate or Turnitin. Then out 100%. So if we mention this, then what is the percentage we can use? This is my question. Thank you.
That is a question. That's a question that I can't answer myself. I mean, I think the one that I would use or will have more interest in is the context in which the tool was used. And I would maybe go further and say what prompts were used in this activity, or a sample of prompts, because that then gives you an idea of the kind of output that's coming out.
This, just related to this, another is similarity index. Specifically, IEEE mentioned that from a single source, it should not be greater than 3%. Okay, and overall, if it is 20% similarity, they usually accept it, less than 20 or 20%. But from a single source, it should not be more than 3%. This is the. But what about the AI? If it is 100% or 60%, then what will be the case?
That I
Thank
don't
you.
know. Maybe Mufti, having just walked into the room.
Professor Mufti, I would like to draw attention this particular problem or question. Okay.
Yes, please.
For IEEE case, usually in a conference, a conference paper may have less than 20%, 18% similarity index. And from a single source, it should not be more than 3%. Then they will accept it, no problem. But for AI, how many percentage, after mentioning which actually AI, Gen AI tools you have used, what all this information you provide in the paper, but what is the percentage the publisher will accept? This is my question.
Very relevant question. However, well, allow me to bring into attention that the tools that we have currently, we'll have to acknowledge the limitations of those tools. Now, let's say that, well, let it be Turnitin, Authenticate, whatever it is, the similarity tools which actually try to assess the similarity of written text or its relevance of being written by AI. Now, if we go a little deeper on how do these tools work, for example, the similarity tool, they just try to match, content, word by word, that, well, whether these words are appearing somewhere or not, in any other sources.
Up to 5 or 6
Exactly. That is something which also can be, configured in a specific software. So in a specific tool, for example, if you take